Welcome to this DaVinci Resolve Fusion node breakdown. Today's node is the shader node. So we're going to jump into Fusion, and we've got a little setup with a couple of spheres here, and we've got some lights going. And most of the time we've been covering doing materials and shading, if you want to say, but doing textures and materials on our actual nodes pre 3D render node. So as a reminder, basically what this does is once we come out of our 3D node, this is all 2D information. It's no longer 3D, but we still have the ability to apply shaders within the 2D environment to our 3D objects. So let's go ahead and jump in and I will show you. So we're going to hit Shift Space and hit Shader. We're going to bring in the shader node. And what this shader node is doing is it's controlling the lighting and reflection mapping onto our objects. And it's based off of what we bring in, whatever media we bring in. But before we bring media in, we're going to cover some of these other settings so you can kind of see what's happening. And this node right down here is just a effects mask, so we can mask off what we're actually affecting within our little 2D image right here. So first and foremost, once we're in this stage and we're viewing from here, if we disconnect our lights, you can see this is still using some type of lighting or reflection, and it's also using specular on its own. So this is independent of our other lights. So we can bring it back in. So we can still control some of our lighting with our spotlight. We can bring our intensity down a little bit. We can bring our ambient intensity down a little bit. So we can really use this shader to control what's going on. Now up top, we have our ambient, which is going to be the amount of ambient light we are getting. So the more we add, the more ambient light we're getting, the less we add, the less ambient light. Now our diffuse is just how much of our material colors are actually being pushed along. And I'm not going to be able to show you that yet. I'll show you, we'll come back to the diffuse after we plug this in. And then our specular, of course, is just like our other specular on many other nodes, how shiny that is. You can see it going up. And a reflection is our actual reflection, but we again need a material in here to be able to show that, so we'll come back. And then we're going to skip reflection type, and on our equator angle is just the angle that light is coming from. And our polar height will allow us to change the angle on the Y there. So this is pretty much letting us change on the X-axis and the Y-axis so we can get it to where we want it to be. Let's go ahead and dial something in. And then if I skip over to the shader here and uncheck diffuse, we have this specular graph here. So we can actually let me switch this back so we can see this little specular here. We can come in here and we can affect that overall specular with our little graph. So we can change it. And we can add additional nodes in it if additional points if we want to affect how that looks. So let's jump back over here and let's go ahead and input a material. So I'm going to grab just some media and I'm going to input it. And you can see right off the bat, it just projected our media onto our little objects there. And our media is animated, so it's animated. And in here, we can come in and change our specular down a little bit so it's not so bright. And if you notice now, if we change our reflection, it's changing how that media is reflected into our shapes there. So that is what the reflection does. And now the diffuse, what the diffuse is doing, it's how much of our original material, whether it's a color or actual material, is being input into there. So if you look closely as I change this diffuse, you can see we're losing that purple value in the one and the blue value in the other. So that's what your diffuse is doing. And if we jump back over to our shader, we have the ability to control the diffuse independently as well on that channel. And as well as changing the overall specular color. Now on our different reflection types, for screen, this is what we want to use generally for any scenes like this, where we just want it to cause it to reflect that map from like it's being projected onto it. And mind you, as I go any further, if I go to our shape and I go to our transform, you notice this material will not transform. There is no transforms happening. I'm rotating it, nothing's happening. If I rotate it on the X, the Y, and the Z, it's going to stay in the same location. So it's not going to animate. The only animation you'll have is whatever animation is within your media. So that is the screen mode. Spherical mode is what we would want to use if we're projecting on, say, a large sphere that's kind of covering our whole scene. And maybe I can show this. Let's go here and change our radius. See if we can get that huge and get our camera inside there. And I can't bring it back that far, but this is what we use to project on a sphere that is kind of encompassing your entire little scene there. And of course, you would want your media to reflect the resolution of whatever we're going on here. So if it's huge, you want to make sure you have a very large resolution on your footage that you're bringing in. So let's bring that back. And then our refraction, what this is going to do is it's going to cause our reflection map to appear as if it was refracting or distorting on that geometry. So you can see it's kind of distorting around the geometry. If we play, you can see kind of how that looks. Now, another few things to keep in mind on here, let's go ahead and pop that back to screen, is this node is shape dependent and it operates off of normals. So one, in our render node, I probably should have told you at the beginning, we need to make sure we're passing along normals because that's what the shader node uses to reflect that material. So if I uncheck it, you can see it's not working anymore. So this is going to cause issues with this reflection. So shapes that have straight normals, like super straight normals, like we can go ahead and change this to a cube. You can see our reflection isn't quite correct. It's reflecting because we can see it's changing our colors according to that reflection, but it's not reflecting the entire image correctly. Same with if we change this to a plane. It's not going to reflect that correctly. In other shapes, like say a cone, it's going to distort it along the normal levels. In some rounder shapes, it's going to work better other than the cylinder. It's not quite going to work well. But our torus and our Ico will actually work fairly well. We can change our subdivisions of our Ico. And just keep that in mind while you're building. And if you plan on using this shader node for your materials, it's not going to work with all shapes and geometry. Additionally, if you're using other geometry like FBXs and you're having issues with your normals, because if we go to here, you can see we've got our normals on. And if you're not seeing your normals, you can go down here. You can show normals or hide them. But if you need to correct your normals, remember we had our replace normals node that we could bring in, and we can fix our normals or recompute our normals correctly, or we can flip them. Just mind you, if you flip your normals while you're here, it's going to make your image look dull because it's looking at the reverse of those normals. So let's delete that. Now, additionally, we can combine these. So let's go to this shape right here, and we're going to go to our object ID, and let's make this object number 2. We're going to go to this shape, and we're going to go to our object ID, and we're going to make this object number 1. So this is our first object. This is our second object. So if we go to our shader node, well, first, if we go to our render node, and we make sure we're passing on our object ID information, so we check that. Now our object ID info is being passed along. So if I go to my shader node, I can go to our common settings, and I can say use object, and I want that one to be object ID 1. And we can bring in another shader. Let's go ahead and go down here. And let's make sure we're looking at our media out. If I go to this shader and add another material, I can say use object, but I want to use object 2. So now I'm using 2 separate materials, and they're all animated and correct. So that is the shader node. I will see you in the next node breakdown.